These are the 20 most powerful demigods in the Riordan universe, ranked from the bottom up. Annabeth Chase doesn't make the top 5. Leo Valdez does. And the demigod at number 2 is going to make some of you start typing before I've even finished explaining the rules. Stay until Percy's entry, because his scariest power might not be water at all. At the bottom of the list, we have Ethan Nakamura, son of Nemesis. Ethan is a decent swordsman who kept up with Percy during the Battle of the Labyrinth. As a son of Nemesis, he can tip the scales of luck against an opponent. He died before reaching his potential, which is the kindest explanation for why he's at the bottom of this list. Coming in at 19 is Charles Beckendorf, son of Hephaestus. Beckendorf was the best mechanic at Camp Half-Blood before Leo came along, and the only person who could control Festus. He died a hero, but this is a power ranking, not a memorial service. Sitting at 18 is Clarisse La Rue, daughter of Ares. Clarisse is one of the best pure warriors at camp. She earned the blessing of Ares in the last Olympian and commanded undead soldiers in Sea of Monsters, which sounds impressive, until you see what rank 10 onwards looks like. Rounding out D tier at 17 is Samira Alabas, daughter of Loki. Sam can fly, fight, and shape-shift into almost anything. She chooses not to use the shape-shifting because she hates drawing on her father's powers. That is admirable. It also means she is voluntarily operating at about 60% of her ceiling. D tier is done. C tier is where the list starts getting genuinely complicated, because one character in this group is more powerful than several names that will appear above them, and the only reason they are here is a choice they made themselves. Starting C tier at 16 is Magnus Chase, son of Frey. Magnus alone would be bottom 5. His powers revolve around healing and a magic that makes everyone on a battlefield drop their weapons, which is remarkable, and also not very useful when your opponent is 300 feet tall. Magnus lands at 16 because of what comes later. We'll get back to him. At 15, we have Meg McCaffrey, daughter of Demeter. Meg is not even a teenager, and she can already teleport using plants, summon a nature spirit named Peaches, and fight at a level that would embarrass most adults at camp. She was trained by Nero and Lou, which is roughly equivalent to being trained by a weapons program. Growth potential alone pushes her to 15. Next up at 14 is Hazel Levesque, daughter of Pluto. Hazel can find anything underground, summon precious metals from the earth, and control the mist, the veil between the mortal world and the mythological one. She used mist control to defeat a sorceress far more experienced than her. She can also teleport 2 different ways. If this list was purely magical versatility, Hazel would be higher. Her powers are criminally underrated, and rank 14 reflects that. Finishing C tier at 13 is Reina Ramirez Arellano, daughter of Bellona. Most lists put Reina much lower. Most lists are wrong. Reina is the best pure warrior on this list up to this point, and her ability to share strength and energy with allies makes her a force multiplier in any group fight. Even in a brutal hunter-style trial against Thalia, with almost every advantage stripped away, Reina still proved she could survive against elite fighters. Her rank is low enough to annoy Reina fans, high enough to annoy everyone else. C tier is settled. B tier is where this list starts costing people sleep, because the placements from here get harder to argue with and harder to accept at the same time. Opening B tier at 12 is Piper McLean, daughter of Aphrodite. Piper has one power, Charm Speak, the ability to make anyone do what she says, and she used it to put Gaia to sleep. Gaia, the literal earth. Percy's counter to Charm Speak was earplugs. Piper used it on a goddess. Make of that what you will. The only reason she is not higher is consistency. Charm Speak is terrifying when it lands, but it depends heavily on timing, resistance, and whether Piper can actually get the words out. At 11, we have Thalia Grace, daughter of Zeus. Thalia is a daughter of the Lord of the Sky who is scared of heights and rarely uses lightning. She went toe-to-toe with Percy. She defeated Luke in single combat, and as a hunter of Artemis, she has enhanced strength, speed, and serious combat training, but she joined the Hunters recently enough that she does not have centuries of experience behind her. She is operating at a fraction of what Zeus's bloodline should produce. That's why she's at 11, and honestly, it could go either way. Coming in at 10 is Luke Castellan, son of Hermes. Luke's powers get overlooked because Hermes is not exactly the god you fear, but Luke was considered the best swordsman of the century before Percy took that title. He survived a full dip in the river Styx, which should have killed him, and at the end of the last Olympian, he fought Kronos from inside his own body and won back control. That is not a physical feat. That is the single most impressive act of willpower on this entire list, and almost nobody talks about it. Rounding out B tier at 9 is Alex Fierro, Child of Loki. Unlike Sam, Alex has no problem using Loki's powers, full shape-shifting, animals, different forms, and battlefield-level unpredictability. There are hints of a charm-like influence too, though nowhere near as clearly defined as Piper's charm speak. Superhuman strength and durability from Valhalla, an enchanted garrote forged by a god. The gap between 9 and 8 is significant. B tier is done. A tier is where this list will lose some of you because the first placement coming up is going to make a specific group of fans extremely unhappy, and I want them to know I stand by it completely. At 8, and before you close the video, hear this out, we have Annabeth Chase, daughter of Athena. Under the criteria for this list, Annabeth Chase belongs in the top 10. She held up the sky. Percy managed it for minutes. Annabeth held it far longer. She survived Tartarus. She defeated an Arai in hand-to-hand combat with no weapons. She saw through Luke when almost everyone else only saw Kronos. She redesigned Olympus and navigated Arachne's lair using nothing but her knowledge of mythology and architecture. Intelligence has changed the outcome of wars in this universe. Nobody uses it better than Annabeth. She lands at 8. The argument can happen in the comments. From here, we are crossing pantheons. Carter and Sadie Kane qualify as demigod-level heroes rather than traditional Greek demigods. And if that bothers you, wait until you see where they land. At 7, we have Sadie Kane, host of Isis. Sadie is left off most of these lists entirely because she comes from a different pantheon. That is a mistake. She performed the Ma'at hieroglyph, the most powerful spell in Egyptian magic. She can transform into animals, open portals, use elemental magic, and channel divine words that bend reality. She is one of the most powerful magic users in the entire Riordan universe, and most people have completely forgotten about her. Sitting at 6 is Carter Kane, host of Horus. Carter summons a 20-foot hawk-headed combat avatar with the strength and durability of a god. He has superhuman reflexes, speed, and strength when channeling Horus, and his spell work without Horus is still enough to put him above most traditional demigods. One small correction to every other ranking video out there. Carter is the pharaoh of the House of Life. The chief lector is Amos. Details matter. Coming in at 5 is Jason Grace, son of Jupiter. Jason is basically what happens when Rome builds a Percy Jackson in a military academy. Flight, lightning mastery, summoning storms across entire fleets. He fought Titan Krios. He fought through the final war against Gaia's forces. He became praetor of Camp Jupiter. The only reason he is not higher is that his story ended before his powers fully did. Growth potential pushes him to 5. Finishing A tier at 4 is Frank Zhang, son of Mars. Frank is the most versatile shapeshifter in the Riordan universe. Almost any living creature he understands well enough to become. He has the blessing of Mars. He is physically dominant in ways most characters on this list cannot match. And in the trials of Apollo, the firewood that his life was tied to finally stops limiting him, meaning Frank can fight without the one vulnerability that used to hang over everything he did. Frank above Jason will bother some people. The argument is in the ranking. A tier is settled. S tier has 3 entries, and the second one is going to be the most argued about placement on this entire list. Leo Valdez is number 3. Take a breath. This is not Leo standing in an empty arena with nothing but a wrench. This is Leo as he actually exists in the story. Fireproof, armed with inventions, backed by Festus, and dangerous because he turns every battlefield into a workshop before the fight even starts. He has fire manipulation, a power so rare among Hephaestus' children it had not appeared in centuries. He led the creation of the Argo, too. He defeated the snow goddess Chione using engineering and fire, and then he died to stop Gaia, came back to life using a cure he had already built before he died, and sailed off to find Calypso. Leo ranks this high because prep time counts. Without it, he drops. With it, he becomes one of the most dangerous people in the entire series. You can argue with the placement, but you cannot pretend the boy who planned his own resurrection was just the comic relief. At number 2, we have Nico di Angelo, son of Hades. Nico has shown death magic so extreme that he turned a living person into a ghostly shadow. He can shadow travel hundreds of miles in a single jump and take others with him. He commands armies of the dead. He survived Tartarus. Most demigods control an element. Nico controls the thing waiting at the end of every fight. The lists that placed him at 5 did so because of stamina issues and his age. Those lists were written before the sun and the star. The stamina issue still matters, but it matters less than it used to. Nico in 2026 is a different character to the one most rankings remember. Nico himself once said that standing beside Percy feels like standing beside a god, which means even he acknowledges what is coming next. And at number 1, the only place he was ever going to land is Percy Jackson, son of Poseidon. The feats, because his powers already speak for themselves, killed the Minotaur with its own horn, no weapons, no training, defeated Ares in single combat, helped take down Medusa before he even understood the world he had walked into. By the time most demigods would still be learning sword forms, Percy had held up the sky, survived the river Styx, and become a praetor of Camp Jupiter in a matter of weeks. Choked a goddess using her own poison, fought through Tartarus and came out the other side, fought Kronos' host body long enough for Luke to break through and end it, was offered immortality by the gods at the end of the last Olympian and turned it down. And here is what most people miss. In the Battle of the Labyrinth, Percy caused a volcano to erupt. That is an earth-shaker ability, Poseidon's power over the ground itself, which Percy has barely touched. In Tartarus, he crossed into poison control through his water manipulation. Water is in almost everything. The full potential of that power has never been properly explored. Percy is already the most powerful demigod alive. He hasn't even reached his ceiling yet, number 1. And now a bonus ranking, because this list would be incomplete without addressing the most unusual case on it. Magnus Chase alone is a C-tier character, with Jack, a sentient sword previously owned by the god Frey, capable of killing giants without effort, and able to open portals between all 9 worlds. The combination is S-tier. Jack is not just a weapon, he is basically a second character with a blade and an ego problem. Magnus is the only character on this list whose ranking changes completely, depending on whether he remembered to bring his weapon. That felt worth noting. That is the full 2026 Riordanverse threat level ranking. And if you think Annabeth belongs in the top 5, make the case in the comments. If you want to go deeper on the heroes of Olympus specifically, Frank, Jason, Leo, Hazel, Piper, their full story is on the channel. That video is next.